Okay. So today we will be looking to design of rigid payment using IRC 58/2002. So we'll wait another 2 minutes. Later on we'll start. So in this module only we have left out with a dowel bar design and tie bar design. So if we complete that portion means the fourth module will be completed. We'll wait for another 2 minutes. Still some of them are still joining. Is the PPT is visible? His presentation is visible or not?
No, sir.
Now? Is it visible?
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So up to here we have discussed. So these are the things we have already discussed. Only thing is we have left out with this design procedure for payment rigid payment as per 58/2002. So for your syllabus they have given only rigid payment design as per IRC 58/2002. But latest they have revised the code it as IRC 58/2001 is 2011 is there. But as per VTU guidelines, we have to design the rigid payment for IRC 58/2002. What are all the things we have to consider while designing the payment? So the first and foremost step is we have already seen this equation, that is determination of cumulative standard axles. That is cumulative standard axles. So the traffic will be given. So using the given traffic, we are going to consider the future traffic in terms of cumulative standard axles. That is cumulative standard axles in terms of million standard axles we are going to calculate. The second thing we have to consider is a design traffic of 25% of the total. Okay, whatever the traffic we are going to get in terms of cumulative standard axles, that 25% we are going to consider. Okay, only 25% we are going to consider rather than considering the entire. For example, if we got 30 MSA, okay, we have got 30 MSA means in this 30 MSA only 25% of 30 MSA we are going to consider it for the design purpose, and very conservative estimate for design against failure in case it is a two-lane commercial vehicles. Okay, it is for a two-way traffic we are going to consider. If it is a 4-lane or multiple lane, above 25% you are going to consider. That is in both the direction you are going to consider 25% in the both the direction when it is a 4-lane or multiple lane, and we have to consider a factor of safety as 1.2 and multiply it to the axle load. So whatever the traffic we are going to calculate, it will be called as a axle load. Okay, when we solve the problem we will get to know what is this axle load and what is this wheel load. We have already known that wheel load means the load which is acting on the wheel. So the load which is transferred or which is acting on the wheel, that we are going to call it as wheel load, Axial load means the load which is bared by the axle. The load which is bared by the axle, that we are going to call it as axial load. And from that axial load, what we are going to consider, it will be multiplied by this safety factor called 1.2. Then stress from charts are obtained with the axial with axial or obtained for the axle with the factor of safety for the assumed pavement thickness. So here also you are going to assume the thickness of the pavement, and for the given thickness of the assumed thickness of the pavement and axial load, we are going to calculate the stress from the charts. I will show all those charts, what are all the charts we are going to use for determining the stress. So simply remember here in IRC 58 2002, only they will ask the procedure. They will not touch the problem. They will ask the procedure. What is the procedure for 10 marks? They will ask. What is the explain the step-by-step procedure for design of rigid pavement using IRC 58 2002. So the first one is the existing traffic and the future traffic can be calculated using this formula. You have to write this one, and 25% of the traffic is considered for two-lane two-way commercial vehicles traffic. Then 25% if it is considered as a 4-lane or multiple lane, then we have to take a load safety factor of 1.2. We have to take a load safety factor as a 1.2 and multiply it with axial load. From where you are going to get this axial load means the 25% of the traffic what we are going to consider, that will be considered as the axial load. Okay, that will be considered as the axial load. Then stress are calculated or obtained from the axial load, which is multiplied with factor of safety, and for the given pavement thickness, and for the given axial load with factor of safety, we are going to consider. Then calculate the stress ratio. Remember, this is very important. Stress ratio. What do you mean by stress ratio? That is it is the load stress from chart. Okay, from the charts you are going to get the stresses. That too edge stress or corner stress or interior stress, any type of stress, that is a load stress from chart divided by flexural strength of cement concrete. So as we all know that flexural strength of cement concrete is 45 kg per centimeter square. So you have to calculate the stress ratio for the given thickness. Then stress ratio determines the allowable number of repetitions. How many number of repetitions it can take, we can get by this stress ratio. So using the stress ratio, we are going to get this how many number of repetitions we are going to have it. Then find the expected number of each categories of axial load, whether it may be a single axial load, whether it may be single, or whether it may be a tandem axial load. So as we all know that single axial means in the plan it will be looking like this. So only single axial. So rear axial and front axial. This is the single axial. If it is a tandem axial means dual wheel will be there, and two axles will be there. Rear axial will be comprised of two axles, and it will be comprised of front axle. So this is the tandem axle. When the two or more axles with two or more wheels means then we can call it as a tandem axle. So you have to find out the number of rotations, that is by using the stress ratio for various categories of axle load, whether it may be single axle load or tandem axle load. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it audible or not? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
You could have respond right, whether it is audible or not. Okay. Okay. Is it clear, right? Single axle and tandem axle. Is it clear or not? Okay. Then whatever the number of repetitions we are going to calculate, if the stress ratio is less than 0.51, okay, if the stress ratio is less than 0.51 means it can take unlimited number of repetitions. So in the competitive exams, they may ask that if the stress ratio, usually stress ratio we are going to call it as a SR. Okay, if the SR is less than 0.1, what will be the criteria, whether it will take unlimited number of repetitions, or it will take limited number, or it will take some amount of the repetitions. Likewise they are going to ask, that is in the competitive exam. But here if the stress ratio is less than 0.51, if the stress ratio is less than 0.51 means it can take unlimited number of repetitions. Then after calculating the unlimited number of repetition, fatigue life consumed by the payment is calculated. So fatigue life consumed by the payment is calculated. So fatigue life is equal to expected repetition divided by allowable repetition. So this is the formula you are going to remember. Expected repetition, that is we are going to expect around 10,000 repetition, but whatever the allowable repetition, how many allowed, that is 1000 or 1500 is allowed. So that thing you are going to calculate expected repetition divided by allowable repetition. That is expected means in the future how much repetitions we are going to consider. Allowable means actual in the field how many number of repetitions it has taken, we are going to calculate. Then find out the total fatigue life consumed. There is a how many number of years it can consume, that is the fatigue life. It should be less than or equal to 1 for safe design. So fatigue life always should be less than or equal to 1. Why? Because the allowable number of repetitions are very more when compared to expected repetitions. So I told that expected repetitions is around 10,000. For example, 1 lakh we will consider, but the allowable repetitions is 1,20,000. Okay, 1,20,000 it has crossed. So the fatigue life will be less than 1. Okay, fatigue life will be less than 1. So remember, after finding out the fatigue life, you are going to check whether it is safe or not. That is, if the fatigue life is less than or equal to 1, then it is safe, and whatever the thickness we have provided, it can be sustain the load which is coming on the pavement. But if the fatigue life is greater than 1, okay, that is if the fatigue life is greater than 1 means you are going to assume the other thickness, that is you are going to assume the thickness other thickness, and you are going to design the CC pavement. Okay, so this is the step-by-step procedure we have to follow. The first one is future traffic you are going to consider, then 25% of the traffic you are going to consider for two-way commercial. If it is multi-lane, for one direction you are going to consider 25% of the traffic. Second one is we have to take a factor of safety is equal to 1.2, and we should multiply that 1.2 with the axial load. From the stress charts, for the given axial load, for the assumed thickness, we are going to determine the stress from the chart. That is for given axial load we are going to consider. Then we are going to calculate the stress ratio for all the axial loads. That is the stress ratio is equal to load stress from chart divided by flexural strength of cement concrete. That is whatever the load stress we are going to get divided by flexural strength of cement concrete we are going to consider. Then stress ratio determines the allowable number of repetitions. So after determining the stress ratio, we are going to check how many number of repetitions it can allow, and expected repetition for each category of axial load. There is what will be the axial load repetitions expected for each category of axial load, whether it may be a single axial or tandem axial. Then if stress ratio is less than 0.51, it can sustain unlimited number of repetitions. So it can sustain more number of repetitions when the stress ratio is less than 0.51. Then fatigue life consumed by the pavement is calculated. The last step in the design is you are going to determine the fatigue life by dividing expected repetition divided by allowable repetition. So expected, for example, 10,000 we are going to expect 10,000 repetitions. but there in the actual field it has crossed 12,000 or 15,000 repetitions it already taken. So that we are going to determine the fatigue life. Then find out the total fatigue life consumed. Find out the total fatigue life consumed. It should be less than or equal to 1 for safe design of payment. There is a total fatigue life consumed. You are going to determine, and if it is less than 1, okay, if the fatigue life is less than 1, the payment is safe, and we can provide the thickness. If the fatigue life exceeds 1 means you are going to change the thickness and you are going to repeat the process. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? This is the step-by-step procedure. This will be asked for 10 marks. Okay. Usually they are going to ask this step-by-step procedure in the exam. In all the question papers, only they have asked this step-by-step procedure as per IRC 58/2002. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear? Kindly respond. Is it clear? Are you people are here or not? Am I audible or not? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then you could have replied, right? Okay. So now we will go for one solution. There is one problem. So I'll share my screen. Wait a minute. Are you able to see the screen? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as I was telling, right, we will be using the IRC 58/2002. That is IRC 58/2002. That is guidelines for the design of plain jointed rigid payments for highway. Now the code book has been revised. It has IRC 58/2011. Okay, they have revised the code book, but as per VTU still they are using IRC 58/2002. What are all the key features we can see in this IRC 58? We will see one by one. So introduction part is there. There is a what do you mean by rigid payment? What are the points? Then scope, general factors governing the design. What are the factors we are going to consider while designing the rigid payment? Then design of slab thickness, design of joints, tie bars for longitudinal joints, and reinforcement cement concrete to control cracking. These are the contents of this IRC 58. So as we all know that we have already seen what you mean by rigid payment and all those things. I'm directly going for factors governing. We have already discussed, that is the V load we have considered, then design period, design traffic, then temperature differential we have considered. So I have told, right, the cumulative number of repetitions are calculated using this formula. Then characteristics of subgrade, and you can observe here the temperature recommended temperature differential. Okay, so whenever they have not given the temperature differentials for cement concrete for a given region means you have to assume some value. Okay, you have to assume some value. What are all those values? You can observe here. If the state, okay, for a given slab thickness, okay, for a given slab thickness, the temperature differentials are varied. Okay, so Punjab, UP, based on the states temperature, they have considered the temperature differential. Since we are in Karnataka, if the 15 centimeter thickness slab we are providing means we are going to consider 17.3. So if the 15 centimeter thick CC payment you are going to provide means 17.3 degree Celsius, you are going to consider it as the temperature differential. So whenever you are going for a 20 centimeter thick means it is 19 degree centigrade. 25 centimeter thick, it is 20.3 degree centigrade. If it is 30 centimeter thick rigid pavement means it is 21 degree Celsius you are going to consider. And similarly, you can observe the Kerala and South Tamil Nadu excluding inland coastal areas. Then coastal areas bounded by hills, coastal areas unbounded by hills. So these are the temperature differentials. If they are not given in the exam, means you have to assume that is for 15 centimeter, 20 centimeter, 25 centimeter, and 30 centimeter. And this is the K value. Okay, that is K value, that is the modulus of subgrade reaction, where we usually determine the modulus of subgrade reaction using a 75 centimeter diaplate. Okay, 75 centimeter diaplate. If other than the 75 centimeter diaplate is done, means we have to convert that 75 other diameter plate to 75 using this formula. Okay, usually K75, that is the modulus of subgrade reaction, is determined using a 75 centimeter plate only. If it is not done, means you are going to convert that to 75 centimeter diaplate. Then you can observe here, I was telling, right, by knowing the CBR value, we can easily determine the K value. You can observe here, the Sokut CBR value is given here, and the K value is also given. So using the CBR value, we can easily determine the K value. When I was explaining the design factors of rigid pavement, there I have explained, I have told, using the Sokut CBR, whenever the plate load test is not able to conduct in the field, means using the CBR value, whatever the CBR we are going to conduct in the field, that using that CBR value, we can easily determine the K value. Okay, so when the CBR is 2%, means the K value will be 2.1 kg per centimeter cube. And similarly, up to CBR 100, you can observe here. So kindly note down this tabular column. So kindly note down Sokut CBR. Using the Sokut CBR, we can easily determine the modulus of subgrade reaction. So when the Sokut CBR is 2%, the K value is 2.1 kg per centimeter cube. Then when Sokut CBR is 3%, the K value is 2.8 kg per centimeter cube. Then Sokut CBR 4%, it is 3.5. 5% it is 4.2. You can observe 7, 4.8, 10, 5.5, 15, 6.2, 20, 6.9, 50, 14. The CBR is 100%. When the CBR is 100%, the K value we are going to get it as 22.2. So kindly note down this tabular column. So approximate K value corresponding to CBR value. Usually in the competitive exams, okay, whenever you are applying or whenever you are taking the competitive exams, there may be chances of getting this tabular column. So the CBR, the Sokut CBR of 7 is there. 7%. What is the K value? They may ask. You should be in a position to remember. That is for 7% K value is equal to 4.8 kg per centimeter cube. Okay. So kindly note down the tabular column. Kindly note down. So kindly inform me when it is completed. Completed. Is it completed? Kindly respond. Is it completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now these are all the other things which is not required for us. So this one is also known to us, the modulus of elasticity of concrete, that is a 3 into 10 power 5. Whenever in the exam, if they have not given the E value, means you have to assume E is equal to 10 power 5 kg per centimeter square, and Poisson's ratio we are going to assume it as 0.15. Then you can observe here the stress ratio. I was telling right, the stress ratio. So you can observe the stress ratio is that is less than 0.45. In the problem in the step I have taken 0.51. So you can take 0.45. If the stress ratio is less than 0.45, unlimited number of repetitions. Unlimited number of repetitions we are going to get it. Then you can observe here, as the stress ratio keeps on increasing, the allowable repetitions are keeps on decreasing. You can observe. So as the stress ratio decreases, the number of repetitions are also decreasing. Okay, as the stress ratio decreases, you can observe here, for example, if the stress ratio is 0.56, 9.41 into 10 power 4 is there. If the stress ratio is 0.76, only 361 repetitions it can take. 361 repetitions it can take. So the stress ratio should be always less than 0.45. Okay, if it is less than 0.45 means we can apply more number, unlimited number of repetitions on the rigid pavement. Okay, so make a note of this one. This thing note down. If stress ratio is less than 0.45, what do you mean by the stress ratio? Stress ratio is equal to expected number of repetitions, expected repetitions divided by allowable repetitions. So kindly note down. Stress ratio is equal to expected repetitions divided by allowable repetitions. We are going to call it as stress ratio. So this is the stress ratio. That is, it should be less than 0.45. Then I was telling right, single axle and tandem axle. You can see here, this is a single axle. Only one type of axle is there on the rigid pavement. Tandem axle means there are two axles. Okay, this is axle 1 and this is axle 2. So in the single axle, only one axle we can expect. Okay, one axle. So tandem axle means the axle with two numbers. Okay, two or more numbers of axle which are having in the vehicle, that we are going to call it as a tandem axle. Okay, is it clear? You can note down the diagram also. Single axle and tandem axle, that is the lateral placement. You can note down. Kindly note down. Note down the diagram. Kindly note down the diagram. Completed? Completed? Is it completed? Kindly respond. You can unmute yourself or you can leave a message in the chat section also, so that I get to know whether it is you have written the diagram or not. Completed? Is it completed? Okay. So these are the things we have already seen. That is the edge stress due to temperature, due to V load. We have already seen that is Westergaard's equation, and using the temperature differential and the edge stress, we can easily determine the temperature differential and Cx and Cy value. So Bradbury's coefficient you can easily see here. That is this is Cx and Cy value we can easily obtain from this graph, or you can use this tabular column also. and corner stress we have seen, that is the Kelly, that is modified corner stress equation by Kelly. Then design charts and all those things are there in the joints is not there for your syllabus. So tie bar design we will see later. So you can observe here the stress charts. So that is for a single axle with 6 tons. So wait a minute, I will open the PPT for charts. Wait a minute. So stress chart, I was telling, right, stress charts which will be used for design of rigid pavement. You can observe here stresses in rigid pavement. So by assuming the slab thickness and the K value will be given to us, that is the K value will be ranging from K is equal to 6, 8, 10, 15 and 30. These are the standard values we are going to have the K value, that is modulus of subgrade reaction. So using this K value and the slab thickness, we are going to determine the flexural stresses. Okay, why we require these flexural stresses? Because of calculating the factor of safety or fatigue life, we require these flexural stresses. So when the single axle load with 6 tons, we are going to use this chart. When it is 8 tons, similarly there are n number of graphs are there for various axle load, single axle load, that is 10 ton, 12 tons, then 14 tons, 16 tons is there, then 18 and 20 tons, 22 tons are there, is there 24 tons. Then comes the tandem axle, that is a tandem axle with a 12 ton, then single axle load with 24 ton we can see. Again the tandem axle with 12 tons, tandem axle with 16 tons, 20 tons, then 24 tons, 28, 32. So these are the charts where we are going to use for determining the flexural stresses. Okay, flexural stresses we are going to determine. For example, a tandem axle of 40 ton is there. For this we are going to design the rigid pavement. We have assumed the design thickness as 20 and the K value is 15. Okay, K value is 15 kg per centimeter cube. Now how to determine the flexural stresses? So H is equal to 20 and K value, the last line will be the K value. So whatever the, draw a line like this and it will cut the x axis, y axis here. So flexural stress is equal to 25 kg per centimeter square. So using the thickness, load, axial load and the K value, we are going to determine the flexural stresses. So this is one technique, and we have already known that the stresses calculation, that is V load stresses, you can calculate like that also, but this is very simple rather than putting in the formula and working out the V load stresses. But if you have this load, thickness and K value, we can easily determine the flexural stresses. So for various axial load, they have given the flexural stresses. Okay, so is it clear? Is it clear? So these are the graphs we are going to use, that is 8 ton, 10 ton, 12, 14, 16 ton is there, 18 ton. These are all the single axial and tandem axial loads we are going to consider. And note down the problem. Now this is the problem we are going to see. So kindly note down. So kindly note down. Example problem, a cement concrete. So kindly note down up to here. A cement concrete pavement is to be designed for a two-way national highway in Karnataka state. The total two-way traffic is 3,000 commercial vehicles per day at the end of construction period. The design parameters, they are given the design parameters similar to your Westergaard's equation. So kindly note down. A cement concrete pavement is to be designed for a two-way national highway in Karnataka state. The total two-way traffic is 3000 commercial vehicles per day at the end of construction period. The total two-way traffic is 3000 commercial vehicles per day at the end of the construction period. The design parameters are flexural strength of cement concrete, that is 45 kg per centimeter square. Young's modulus of subgrade, that is modulus of subgrade reaction, it is 8 kg per centimeter cube. Young's modulus of concrete, it is 3 into 10 power 5. Poisson's ratio 0.15. Thermal coefficient 10 into 10 power minus 6. Tire pressure 8 kg per centimeter square. Rate of traffic increase, it is 0.075. Spacing of the contraction joints, it is 4.5. Width of the slab is 3.5. So up to here note down. So next we will note down the axial load spectrum. Okay, the axial load for calculating the stress ratio we have to consider. So kindly note down. Kindly note down. I'll upload this code book in the MS Teams so that you can easily get to know how to solve this rigid pavement. That is a design of rigid pavement. So kindly note down, kindly inform me when it is completed so that we can write that axial load spectrum for both single axial and tandem axial. Is the screen is visible? Is the screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, write down, write down. So kindly inform when it is completed so that we'll write this axial load spectrum. Okay. Completed? Is it completed? Kindly respond. Is it completed? Is it completed? Sahanasri,
Yes, sir.
completed?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Write down, write down. Make it fast.
Completed, sir.
Others completed? So note down the axial load spectrum. Note down this tabular column. Note down this. That is single axle, then tandem axle. In the exam also they will give like this only. That is a single axle load and tandem axle. Then axle load tons they are going to give. Then percentage of axle load tons they are going to give. So kindly note down this tabular column. Single axle loads, then tandem axle loads. Kindly note down the axle load spectrum. So they have given various tandem class loads, that is 19 to 21, that is percentage of axle loads they have given, that is 0.6. Then 17 to 19 it is 1.5, 15 to 17 it is 4.8, then 13 to 15 it is 10.8, 11 to 13 it is 22, 9 to 11 tons axle load, that is single axle, it is given as 23.3% of the vehicles will be moving. And always remember that less than 9 ton. Okay, so we know that the permissible axle load limit is 8.2 ton. So less than 9 ton means more number of more number of vehicles will be moving. There is a more number of axle loads. Why? Because the permissible is 8.2 ton. So beyond if we move means it is considered as a offense. So the axle load limit should be less than 8.2 ton, that is 9 ton. That's why it is more numbers. Similarly, for axle load, there is 34 to 38, 30 to 34, 26 to 30, 22 to 26, 18 to 22, then 14 to 18. Less than 14, we are going to consider. Then percentage of axle loads they are given 0.3%, 0.3, 0.6, 1.8, 1.5. 0.5 and 2%. The total, so if we add single axle and tandem axle, we are going to get it as 100%. Okay. So kindly note down. Kindly inform me when it is completed so that we will go for solution part. Is it completed? Have you written the table?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I will write to the next year. So little bit zoom the things. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, now we have to. What are all the data they have given? Did they give the design life? Design life is given in the problem. Let me check. No, they have not given the design life, but we have to assume the design life as 20 years. We have to assume the design life as 20 years. Then present traffic they have given. Present traffic they have given. So kindly note down 3000 CVPD. So they have given 3000 CVPD as a present traffic. Then design life, this is assumption. So make a note here. Assume design life as 20 years. Then a rate of growth they are given. Rate of growth is given in the problem, that is 0.075. Now calculate the cumulative repetitions. Cumulative repetitions is equal to A into 365 into 1 plus R whole power n minus 1 divided by R. So A, it is 3000 into 365, 1 plus 0.075 whole power 20 minus 1 divided by 0.075. Check it how much you are going to get. So write it as it is, commercial vehicles only. Don't put it in a million standard axles. So how much you are going to get? Kindly calculate it. What is the value you are going to get? Are we getting 4148626 CVPD?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So up to here we have calculated. Now in the step-by-step procedure I have shown, right, we have to consider 25% of this traffic. So make a statement here. Design traffic is equal to 25% of cumulative repetitions. Cumulative repetitions. Now calculate 25% of the cumulative repetitions. So which is equal to 25 divided by 100 into 47418,626. How much you are going to get? That will be your CVPD design traffic. Check it how much you are going to get. Check it how much you are going to get.
Sir, 11854656.5, sir.
11854656.57.
56.
We'll take 57. So this is the number of commercial vehicles will be moving. Okay. Up to here you note down. We will continue in the next class. That is the remaining portion. That is the writing the tabular column for the axial load spectrum. Then we will assume one thickness and we will try to solve those problems, that is calculating the stress ratio, then fatigue life. Then we will check whether the fatigue life is whether the assumed thickness is correct or not. So initially we are going to determine the design traffic first. Okay, the design traffic you are going to determine first, then later on we are going to determine the thickness. We are going to assume the thickness and we are going to determine the fatigue life and stress ratio. Okay, is it clear up to here? Is it clear? Kindly respond. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. I hope the problem is clear for everyone. So wait a minute. So I will upload this IRC 58/2002 in the MS Teams. Kindly go through once. Okay. So the problem, the same problem you may get in the exam, or some slight change in the values also. Okay. So entire procedure they have given. So we will be seeing that. So both dowel bar design and tie bars also they are given. We will see what all those things we have to discuss in the next class. Okay, in the next class we will be completing this problem and we will be going for a design of dowel bars and a design of tie bars also. Okay, is it clear? So I'll stop here.